Who are the most evil legends? Like, actually evil? Actually evil. LOL wiki. Oh, League wiki. Maybe if I type that, it won't be fandom. Nope, that's fandom. Okay, here we go. Who are the most actually evil legends? Let's see. It depends on your definition of evil, for starters. Like, are we talking about, like, just fundamentally evil? Are we talking about, like, evil, like you're a really bad guy? And so, like, as an example, like, you could say Fiddlesticks is one of the most evil legends. But also, that's just who he is, right? Like, Fiddlesticks is a force of nature. I feel like calling Fiddlesticks evil is like calling a bear evil. Or something, right? Like, it's his nature. And so if you want to, like, talk into, like, things that are more evil, I would say potentially characters who, like, choose to be giga evil, right? They're just like, I'm a really bad guy and I'm going to be really bad. I think Mordekaiser is probably, like, one of the top people there. Mordekaiser is a pretty evil dude. And he's, like, he's so evil that he was like, I don't think I'm going to die. And I'm just going to, like, make a realm of death and then come back to their, like, yeah, Mordekaiser is very, very evil. Someone said Swain. No, I don't think Swain's, like, evil. Like, I think he can do evil things. But, like, Swain, like, you know, he's got purpose. He's the Noxian Grand General, right? He's not, like, evil. Right? He's got, like, a lot, like, just like how Mbessa's not evil. Like, Mbessa is not an evil character, right? She's got, like, you know, she's definitely a villain. But, you know, her motivations, there's a lot of mix to it, right? Whereas Mordekaiser is just straight up, like, freaking bad guy. Vhagar, I think, had potential to be evil, but he's, like, you know, we've kind of just made him, like, kind of comically in caricature. I think Jin's evil, straight up. Jin's kind of not a good person. But even he's a little, like, interesting in how he expresses his badness. Yumi's an evil spirit. Dude, is it Mordekaiser? I feel like it might be Mordekaiser. Wait, what about Vladimir? Vladimir's pretty freaking evil. Aatrox? So Aatrox is evil, but also he is, like, actually insane. Right? Like, Aatrox is, like, again, it's like, he's a bad guy, but he got corrupted by the Void. And so, like, if you're, like, evil villains, yes, Aatrox is an evil villain. In the way that, like, a red dragon is an evil villain to some degree or something. But, like... Oh, Thresh. Thresh. It's Thresh. This guy. This guy is evil. Thresh is a very bad guy. Vespine, thank you for the 1 month. Appreciate it. Thresh, I think, is probably one of the top of the charts for me, honestly. Like, Thresh is evil, and he's a sadist, and, like, and you might be like, August, you were just talking about how Fiddlesticks is in his nature. Isn't Thresh a wraith? And, like, yeah, he's a wraith. So he's become more evil and more, like, it's part of his nature. But remember, him being a wraith is based on who he was in the real world, right? And in the real world, he was a freaking evil guy. Not a good dude. Xerath is evil? I don't know. I mean, he's definitely did some bad stuff, but I feel like Xerath is more just angry. Mordekaiser, Jin, Thresh... Vladimir. God, I feel like Vladimir's got to be up there. I feel like Vladimir is, like, got to be, like, just really top of the line bad dude. Seraphine. Yeah. Yo, how cool would Arcane's ending have been if instead of everything that it was, it instead, like, kind of ended Zootopia style with a Seraphine concert and everybody's just singing and getting along? I think that would have been pretty good, actually. I think that would have been some absolute cinema. Oh, what about Singed? This guy is definitely evil, right? Like, this guy is just bad all the way through. I mean, he has like a very nice motivation, right? But like... Students doesn't choose to do evil, he just doesn't care. No, that's it. That's a good point. That's a good point in that Singe isn't actively seeking misery. Like, the results of his work are misery, to be clear. But like, his goal isn't misery and badness. His goal is his daughter, right? So Singe's Father of the Year. Yeah, true. Vander could never. AD carries are crit-based champions. The Wynn brothers get 2.5x crit, which makes crit items insane on them. Therefore, the better the crit items, they are exceptionally better than YASOU YONE. YASOU YONE have no bearing on item balance for AD carries, with the exception of maybe something like Shield Bow. Shield Bow is like the lifesteal, needed to be balanced around melee champs, but the assumption that like YASOU and Yone are keeping crit items weak is like just completely false. Crit items are made and balanced for the AD carry class for the most part, with maybe, you know, one or two more focused on melee champs. And then YASOU and Yone are balanced to work with the crit items. And in fact, your hypothesis that YASOU and Yone are broken with crit and that's why it's it can't be good is actually, it's a bit the opposite actually. The reality actually is the melee champions tend to be terrible with crit and need help to make crit useful on them. And so the reason YASOU and Yone have these passives that say, hey, when you get crit, you double it, is to make crit viable stats on them. Because without those passives, they wouldn't be able to build crit. It just turns out that crit is like, in most cases, significantly better on range-based attackers because of the randomness of it. Range-based attackers just get more chances to auto-attack and more chances to crit, whereas melee champions tend to need to crit to be, in some ways, more powerful to make up for the fact that those items are balanced for range AD carries. And so, yeah, basically, you're thinking about it a little bit in the opposite direction. Crit items are not balanced around YASOU and Yone. YASOU and Yone are balanced around crit items. Which, again, with the possible exception of some of the crit items that are better on melee champions, specifically like when Shield Bow had lifesteal, that was like a more of a melee champion thing. And YASOU and Yone's passives are there to make crit viable on them. And so if you're like, why don't you make these passives worse? It's like, well, those passives need to be powerful to make crit a viable option for them. Man, I really want to drink this. I shouldn't. I should keep the shimmer. Hey, Dragomaster. Alternate Echo and Powder was sick. Yeah, it was pretty sweet. It's pretty good. Crits are not true random? No. Critical strikes have bad luck protection, basically meaning that every time you crit, you are less likely to crit, so that you don't crit too much in a row, and every time you don't crit, you are more likely to crit, so that you don't crit too little in a row. And so basically they have some degree of bad luck protection to prevent them from giving you, you know, random streaks that are ridiculous or random in either direction.